This is Blessing Salami introducing Woman at the Well.
Welcome to the Woman at the Well, a place of hope and healing.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good morning, wherever you are. Good evening. Hello and hi. This is Woman at the Well. Blessing Salami, your host. I hope you're having a lovely afternoon. This is our Easter special. Okay, so don't mind how posh I'm dressed this afternoon. It's just to celebrate Easter. And I greet you in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, our soon coming King, who is also the resurrected Christ. I pray He does the resurrection that you need in your life as a woman, as a girl child. Hallelujah. You're all welcome to this afternoon's episode, and we're still dealing with first of all, I've just got to say a big thank you to all my subscribers. Please, I am not taking this for granted. Thank you so much. Well appreciated. Thank you for subscribing. To my followers, God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing. The viewers, your comments, I am so pleased to meet most of you and talk to some of you. It is a blessing. Thank you so much. And I won't forget the man behind my camera. Thank you so much, Pastor Femi. God bless you for all you do. Okay, this afternoon we're still dealing with mental health, still exploring that topic. It's quite wide, it's quite diversified, so we'll dig in as much as we can. And I pray that by the end of this whole episode and talk, or this whole discuss on mental health, that we'll find a place to forgive ourselves. We'll find a place to have a rethink. We'll identify or re-identify ourselves. We can learn and unlearn certain things. It's also helping me to actually heal and grow. Listening to myself again when you recall those things. And few guests that I've had, it has been a wonderful journey on mental health. The last episode, we did talk about childbirth, or your time of waiting. I don't like calling it barrenness. Whilst you're waiting for the fruit of the womb, the effect it can have on your mental health. Yes, it can be so frustrating, devastating. You find yourself in a hopeless, worthless situation where you can't, because it's only God that gives children, and until He remembered Anna, there was no child in Anna's home. And the Bible said He remembered Rachel. So God remembers people. So, and then He opens the womb, for conception. So it can be really frustrating, especially when you go with that expectation that, okay, between so time to so time, and the next 5-10 years, I should be able to have all the children that I need, and then move on to my career or do something different. And your 10 years will then be a time of waiting, or time of miscarriages, a time of the bashing and the crying and the frustrating and wetting that bed. Yeah, your mental health can be affected by it. So this afternoon, a continuation of what we discussed last week, talking about my own experience, the traumatic time I went through, waiting. I am going to look at something women tend to go through, but it's not really talked about, and that is postnatal depression. Yes, it is real. It is very real, because you have high hopes and expectations when you're pregnant. Fine, you have that excitement. Oh gosh, I'm having a baby. But then when you sit down to think about it, your hormones are changing. in your mind, you picture what your child will look like, what your home will look like, and how you want to bring up your child. And then all these expectations are high, or somehow they might not come to pass, or they might not come to fruition. And in my own case, I want to talk about postnatal depression that I went through whilst I had my little daughter. I did mention in the last video about her birth and all, and she said to me, "Mom, did you bring out my box?" And I said no. She said, "Did you read out anything?" I said no, I just talked from my head as usual. So this afternoon, I want to actually talk about postnatal depression and how I went that way. Well, like it was quite a traumatic experience for a first-time mother who has been expecting a child for over 6 years, and just to go into premature labor. So that on its own wasn't easy, and I was still being hopeful that everything would work out and pan out fine. And yeah, the travel from Wales to England to have her, and the travel back, it wasn't easy. And I remember when I had her, I was alone. There was no partner to hold my hand because he was busy, had to go to work according to him. And so I was on my own in that labor room, brought out that little baby. And I remember calling him, as well as a family friend who is also my daughter's godfather, because he was the first man to actually see Sharon. And he went, "Where's the baby?" And I said, "In that cot." He went, "She doesn't look anything like a child. She looks like an animal, like a little lizard." And that broke me, And it was from there I got a grip of myself that it was a 50-50 chance of her survival. Yes. Then I went into a state of depression and anxiety. First of all, you have the blues, by the third day, when your hormones start to wear out and you start to realize that, okay, this is new. I'm coming out of something now. Things have changed. I'm no longer one, I've become two. But my daughter's birth, like I said, very traumatic. Her 25 weeker. And after that, traveling back to from Birmingham to Cardiff, and then I just stumbled into her red book, because some people like evidence. So that's her red book. That's a Welsh. I don't know if it's an English thing as well, but that's the record we have when they give birth. So everything you need to know about the child's immunization, birth, and everything will be written down here. And remember when I talked about hair coming out blue? So that's the first page of it, where it was recorded, the issue around. This is an old book. It says here, I don't know the jargon, but you can see the blue spots on the sacral area. So everywhere was covered blue. You can see that on the record there. And that on its own was scary. I told you how God miraculously brought her back to life. And you can see different records from here. And it will amaze you. I don't know if I recorded this as well last time, that she only weighed 910 grams. Yes, it's also recorded here, 910 grams, which is less than a kilo. And it was so scary. That brought about a whole lot of emotions, fear, anxiety, frustration, all of it. And to think that I didn't have the support needed, apart from obviously the medics, and and my family were back home. When I mean my family, I mean my mom and siblings were back home, in-laws also. But there was another thing that happened during okay, there's something that happened during Sharon's birth. There was no support from her father, my ex-husband at the time, or my ex-husband. The support, it was so like, yeah, I don't even know if she will survive. That was the vibe I got of him. It was so bad that when he was, when you have a baby, everybody's joyful and they're announcing it. And then he made this announcement to his brother, and there was no emotion attached to it. And it was, and at the time, the funny thing about it, or the profound thing about it, in as much as my emotions were everywhere, was when he made this call and announced her birth. There was no excitement, and his brother at the time was also waiting. So I was 6-7 years in marriage, and they were about, I want to say, 8-10 years still waiting. And his brother was like, is everything okay? He goes, yeah, everything is fine. He said, so why are you not sounding like everything is fine? You don't sound excited. You having a child. He sighed. He went, the Nigerian, and his brother was like, right, okay. Is your wife okay? Yes, she's fine. And the baby, the problem is the baby was born prem. This were his words. And his brother was like, okay, but the baby's fine. Yeah. So the brother then said, I haven't seen a prem baby, and I'm happy for you. You have seen a prem baby, and you don't sound like God actually did something for you. What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say here is, whilst you are going through certain things in life, you need people who will be able to boost your faith rather than make you feel little, rather than make you feel inadequate. And that's how I felt. But it was that statement from that man that actually boosted my faith, that okay, somebody was actually looking for a prem. Actually, I was actually looking for a prem baby, wanted something to show. And I have a prem baby. Thank you, Lord. It brought about some sort of gratefulness and thankfulness, some appreciation to God that is it the stage of barrenness or waiting, or not having a child, that siege was broken. It was a miracle that I had that one. Yet I was depressed because where support was needed, I didn't get it. And the worst thing is, because it was not just verbally abusive, it was physically abusive. I couldn't open my mouth then to talk. I remember then in Birmingham Hospital, whilst we were in one of the flats of the self-contained, parents who had children like that were kept in flats just so we can be closer to the children. And we had a couple of fights, and he would go, you better not cry for anybody to hear you. You better not scream for anyone to hear you, because if you scream, if you cry, and I'm talking about, I'm an adult, so you've hit me and you don't want me to cry as well. But yeah, I went through all that. And that didn't help the post-natal times. More evidence. This was exactly the size of my daughter's, what do you call her ankle? Scary, isn't it? You can only go there. That's what the size of her ankle. These are her first shoes, because we had to go for what's it called, dedication. That's correct. And we bought these first. These were her first shoes. These were her first shoes. That's how tiny she was. I'm just going to bring each of them out. This was given to us in Birmingham just to keep safe and tell her how tiny she was and show her stuff. So now and again we do. So keep safe, Sharon. So these were her first shoes. The Lord is wonderful, but I'm just talking about postnatal depression and things that can actually trigger mental illness or postnatal depression. These were things they had to put around her. So oxygen nozzles and all. You can see it there. There's a neonatal instrument. Then this is her first birthday. That's how tiny she was then. Yeah, I had to get shoes from the doll shops. So these are from the, yeah. It's lovely to talk about them now. Sharon wearing her own clothes, please, to avoid cross-infection or contamination. Can you see all that? How God brought me out from childlessness, postnatal depression. These are her first Pampers. You wouldn't see. I don't think with 13 years running, I don't think you'll see this size, because they did give them in the hospitals. I don't think you'll see this size in the shops to get them. These are to put her arms together so she doesn't get any form of physical disability, just to make sure everything was working fine. And I'm sure you'll see the photos of her, you know, her stages from the past video. This was how she was fed through the tube. So coming into hospital, seeing my little girl instead of being breastfed, yeah, so it did go this way, the food goes that way into a bottle, and this goes through her nose. Postnatal depression, it was really bad. How do you know your triggers? What were your expectations? I had so much expectations of how I could have first dummy. And what else have I got here? A couple of things. This is a poem she's been writing from God knows when. She's a poet. There's another pair of shoes. And I prayed that one day she'll join me, because she's quite shy. I pray one day she joins me. Why I'm talking about this, why I brought this particular one is, see how little it is? So she has a cut there, a scar there, and that's for life. And it's as a result of this, and as a result of carelessness. And that was the biggest trigger for me. I thought my daughter was going to be deformed, you know, without nose. Because what happened is, this is, I think, a nozzle that goes into the oxygen. And these go into her nostrils. And then they place something which is in here, and they place this on top of that. And I don't know what happened on this particular day. I got into hospital and she was already bleeding. I couldn't lift anything. I wasn't allowed to touch her. So I rushed out. I called the nurse in charge. I said, who is it that's supposed to be taking care of Sharon? And she pointed towards the nurse, and I said to her, I said, Sharon is bleeding. Oh, okay. I've not seen her all day. Why haven't you seen her all day? Oh, we've been really busy, short staff and what have you. Anyway, cut long story short, what has happened is this was pressed down into her nose there, that gap there, and it was cut literally off, and it was literally pulling. Remember, she was prem, and it was literally bleeding, and they didn't even see it if I hadn't turned up. And when they checked, the nose was literally dangling like that. The sky is still there because that place cut off like that. And I screamed and went, calm down. I was shaking. I was anxious. I was so frustrated. They said, oh, don't worry, she's prem, the body will cover. But she still got that scar till this day. When I showed her, she was like, I'm going to kill her. No, you won't. These are the people God used. But I'm just trying to say many things can actually trigger a woman's mental health, especially when there are no support. When there's no support in place from family, from partner, from external people. Remember, the body goes through a lot. And for me, I think mine was more of, is my daughter going to survive this? What will be of me if she doesn't? How will I cope? This man here is not supportive in any way. I remember one day we had to go and see her because we had a routine of back and forth going to hospital in the morning and in the evening, and I just couldn't stay, and I had to express I just finished expressing, and I said, can you get us a taxi? Get us a taxi so we can go, because we don't drive. And he said, you have to walk down and go get a bus. I'm just put to bed. Go walk down and go. I said, but I'm tired. And I don't forget these words, because his younger sister had just put to bed and had twins or triplets. I can't remember now. But his words were, you're not the first to give birth to, so you can't just use that as an excuse. You will get up, you will walk, and you will, whatever is going on, you will have to walk to wherever you're going. I don't have that money for taxi. And he didn't stop there. He said, now, if I speak it in English language, it will come out possibly a bit better. But if you're from the Igbo speaking part, which I don't speak very well, it's not my language, but I learned to it says, I can't even say it, but it interpreted the interpretation was, your fellow women are the ones giving birth to twins and triplets, and they're still doing okay, so there's no difference. There's no difference between you and them, so don't bring this crap of. And you know, for somebody who, my mom wasn't here, his mom wasn't, there was no family. We're talking about the UK. You're on your own. I went through that all alone, and at some point, because I planned with my mom anyway that she was going to come once before I had the baby, but obviously baby came early, so I had to use my student grant to get my mom an express visa and application and everything to be done quickly, and for her to step in and give me some sort of support. But it wasn't easy, because I had Princess in September, and before mom came, it was very close to Christmas, so we're talking about 3-4 months away. 3 months away, and the depression had already set in. I saw myself cry. I saw myself overeating. I saw myself wailing. There was no thoughts in my head that didn't come. I saw myself, everything frustration. Somebody who wasn't willing to help. All he wanted was about himself and himself. And this brings us to the episode where we talked about expectations when going into marriage. I went in with a different perspective altogether, and I think that for me was the icebreaker. And I believe it was at the peak of postnatal depression that women then find themselves, as well as lose marriage, lose their marriages, because that was the peak for me. It was at that point I decided then that, okay, he can't be there for me, neither can he be there for my child, and I don't think I can handle this anymore. Yeah, no sane person can go through all this and not being appreciated. It marvels me now, and this is in a good way, to see men gift their wives push gifts. I wasn't expecting a push gift. No, I wasn't. I just expected somebody to be alone, to be with. Somebody to say, okay, everything will be fine. Somebody to assure me that, do you know what, we're in this together, regardless of what happens. No, it wasn't that. It was about him, and him. So much that because of how little and tiny she was, they had to put her on a DLA. This side of the world, it is called the disability living allowance. It was just money to help in her feeding and everything. Do you know that man, the little, as much as, I don't know, I can't remember how much, child benefit at that time was £12 every week. He actually wanted money out of child benefit. He wanted money out of DLA. He wanted money. In fact, he was actually pushing me to get money called the carer's allowance, because according to him, I'm entitled to all of it, and I should be cared for by that money, not. And please, men, help us as women, help us as your wives, help us as your daughters. Help where I am using this platform to plead with us men, especially when we leave our culture and our countries and what have you to come into the Western world. Please, let us do better. It was all about what he could gain, how he could, and that's one blog I used to say, I know come London, can't look London Bridge or can't train foul, something like that, and it was just vile statement, vile comment, so much palaver, apart from thinking about how the woman that just gave birth to, how they were going to cope. No, I don't think that was part of the plan. Women also, please, I want to beg us, please, before you go into a marriage, which is God's institution, have a plan. Have a plan. I beat myself up today because I feel I was cheated. I feel I was robbed. I feel that I was used. Yes. It all went in there. People struggle with it, when you have the blues and then you go through your mental health is all over the place. You're not able to cope. The anxiety kicks in, the depression and everything. 1 year you'll be fine. I struggled with mine for 3 whole years. And I remember doctor, my GP saying, Blessing, you're not getting any better. Is there anything else we can do to help? Because mind you, I've got other issues that have gone on that created PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, in the past. So that's on its own. Other issues, but adding postnatal depression to it, my mental health was woe. I went into a place of severe depression, severe anxiety. My stress disorder was out of the nightmares here and there. It was something else. What can you actually do to help yourself this afternoon as I speak with you? Please talk. Please look for support system. Make friends that you can trust. Once you know you're pregnant, please find help. And men, please try to support these women. At the end of the day, not two of them enjoy more. Let me speak, the broken English. If God can leave everything, all our sins, just for all of us, I don't think we'll be here today. Let's try to share the love. Let's try to take responsibilities, because we go through a lot in our bodies, and it's not a place. I'm not judging any man, and I'm not judging any woman. If mistakes have been made, please, but let's look after ourselves as women. Women, look after yourselves. Accept who you are, accept what you are, and try to extend that love to the younger ones who have no idea of what's going on. Postnatal depression is real. It is real. It is so real that people could, it could spiral into something else. It could escalate into something totally different. I was saying to a friend earlier, I say, because of how traumatic my son's birth was, I still see every picture that happened in labor room. I do. People say, once you give birth and you see the baby, it ends there. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You go through it. You need the support system. Men, help your wives, help your spouse, help your partner, because it is real. It can kill. I've heard of cases where women just, walk down, leave the child there, abandon the child, walk out, self-harm, dead, gone. Suicide. I've heard of cases where they harm the child, just to pick the child up, off. The child is gone before support will be there. The child is gone. They suffocate the child because they were not expecting the crying. They were not expecting the midnight cries when she returned home. When we brought her back home, I did it all by myself, and it was exhausting. It was exhausting because my mom had to return back to Nigeria. We just separated. I was breastfeeding. I was looking after her, making sure that her oxygen was at the right saturation. It was, by morning, I was a different person altogether. I did it all by myself. Come on. Women, we can do better. Look for support systems. Create one. If there's none, try to create one based on experiences. And that's this platform. That's the reason why God helped me to create this. Look for 5, 10, 2, 3 women that have gone through it, group work, and do it together. Put your hands together and help another person. The reason why I go out of my way to actually welfare check on new moms is because of the experience that I had as a new mother in this country. So it's no wonder if once I see a pregnant woman, especially in an environment that's conducive for me, the first thing I want to know is how much support they give you, or how much support is out there for you. I'll say to you, here's my contact. If you give birth and you need to sleep, call me, I'll be there. If you need the baby to have a first wash, call me, I'll be there. So I got too many godchildren, not because I wanted to, but because I've just made myself available to women who have for the first time been mums, or first time mums. Is as a result of the love that I had to provide based on my own experience. Because think about it. What if I died in the process? Or what if I harmed my daughter in the process? Hey, I know that young mom out there needs support. Maybe mom is not even there. I'll finish breathing some, and then they say, during christening or dedication, oh blessing, do you want to step in and be godmother? Oh, by all means I will. It's not because of anything, it's just that little support they got from me. And I think we can do this in our churches. Ask that pregnant woman, have you got support? In your workplace, ask that pregnant woman, what support have you got? On the street, ask that woman, what support have you got? It's not, oh, is there for, no, do not judge. Everyone has got one circumstance or the other. And the more you lend hand, there's more blessed to give actually than to receive. The more you give support, the more God blesses you. I provide support regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of whether as long as I've heard that, okay, this person actually needs support, this person needs help, we just had a baby, I'm gone. Because I know what I went through. So mothers, let us try to create little groups. I think this will be really helpful, and I'm sure if you're in the health sector, you will agree with me that little groups from little places, find out where you can actually get this support from, or create one yourself. The midwives and the healthcare assistants and nurses will agree with me that group work helps. Socializing helps. It's not just about the body, it's about your the psychosocial interventions you receive can actually help your postnatal health. So I'm not gonna go too much deeper into this conversation. I've just told it, like I said, is a time of celebration, and I just pray that we can find these little support groups to help us come out of postnatal depression. It's a taboo for a black woman to say I'm going mad, and I mean not just my color, I mean Asian, Chinese. Just get on with it. I remember my mother saying, oh, you have to be a woman. What does that? You just literally, you just have to be strong for yourself. But there's so much you can take, pour, and you're just empty. You give, and there's nothing else left to give, and you remain empty. And that's what happened to me. I found myself so exhausted, so drained. I go to work, come back to baby, and back, it just in and out, and that's how for 3 years it did not. But I pray for you today, you woman that is expecting, you woman that's just giving birth, I just pray that the Lord will help you and He will be your comforter. He will comfort you on every side and He will give you a sound mind. He will help you come out of that depression regardless of the circumstance. He will help you. He will help you to see your way through. He will take away that anxiety and fear of the unknown. I pray for you, that one who's looking after that child that is ill, that God will help you and heal that child. God bless you. I see you in my next video. Stay safe. God bless you.
The Woman at the Well, sharing your story and glory with Blessing Salami.